So have you ever had a product or service where you have like a trial period and you try it out and everything seems to work fine? It seems like it's a really good product or service and you're like, sure, I'll pay money for this. And then you pay for it and it's not quite what you expect. Whether it's not quite what they promised or maybe the quality has dropped off since the trial period. Yeah, well, that all said, the first 5 episodes of this season, that was clearly the trial period. What's up guys, Mason the Brock Henderson here and this is Fear the Walking Dead Season 6 Episode 5, Honey. So this one is not bad. It's definitely not as good as it has been so far. There are some interesting things about this, but I will say that final decision at the end I think falls a little flat for me. Mostly because while I think having Sherry and Dwight split up, it does add some extra drama, it adds some extra tension, which, I mean, I feel like it's kind of forced, but I get it. If they just have them reunite now, then there's not really much else you can do with them, outside of maybe putting one of them in danger. So having this friction, it does add this extra element to their story that does increase the drama. But I think the reasoning that they've given her is kind of weak. All because she felt like she should have done something with Negan and she should have stopped him when she had the chance. Now she feels like she has to do something here about Virginia. Even though Morgan makes a lot of really good points and there's no reason why they have to deal with Virginia right now, she's still just going to buy into this whole idea that they have to deal with her right now. They can't hold off. They can't see what Morgan's putting together. It just feels like a weak reasoning to have Sherry and Dwight split up again. So it's really what, in my opinion, brings this story down, and unfortunately it is kind of a big deal, because it's what this episode is focused on. I will also say the fact that these people just show up and kidnap Dwight without Sherry saying anything felt a little out of place. I would think she would say something to Dwight like, hey, these people that I'm with, they're coming into the house, they found me, but instead she just disappears, doesn't say anything, and then all of a sudden Dwight's being taken in and being threatened. And it's not until he escapes, beats up a guy, steals his gun, and points it at everybody with all the guns pointed back at him that Sherry finally goes, oh, hey, by the way, yeah, he's with me. He's fine. Why did that take so long? And why didn't she say anything when he was being kidnapped? Also, the one guy, Raleigh, I think is what Dwight called him. I don't remember him. Is this the same guy that captured him in the truck? Because he said something about Logan, so I guess he was a part of Logan's gang? And if so, how did he get away? Because I thought Virginia took out everybody in Logan's gang. But his is just a story I don't remember. I don't know why Dwight knows him. But the plan to steal the MRAP, I think, it was pretty cool. I can't say for sure that it all makes sense with this idea that they just show up with these horses and they manage to sneak on. Like when the guy pulls the guns, Al tells him get close to the truck because they aim high, which, makes sense. Although I'm pretty sure there was a time whenever there were walkers surrounding the truck and they were like super close and the guns still took them out anyway, but whatever. They get close to the truck so the guns can't hit them, but then the guy just keeps driving straight while he's shooting the guns. He can see them in the side mirror, why not just swerve over and hit them? It feels odd that he just sort of stayed straight when all he had to do was either swerve away so the guns would hit them or swerve closer so he could run them over. It's not until the guns run out of ammo that he starts trying to swerve to hit them. But it was still a pretty exciting action scene. I think the filming on it looked pretty good. There was nothing that was glaringly obviously bad, like the one scene with Alicia and Strand opening the gate full of walkers and suddenly the walkers that were on the left side completely disappeared. No editing issues like that on this one. But one thing that I did find that was coincidental, but it was so awesome that I kind of just shrugged and said, sure, I'll take it, is the fact that Dwight kicks the guy out of the truck. And of course, he sees his face because the mask came off, so he and Al are like, crap, we gotta go find him. And so they start to run after him. All of a sudden, up comes Morgan with his feet tied, dragging him behind him. It doesn't make any sense why Morgan would be out there. It doesn't make any sense that he was tracking this truck or why he would be in the vicinity. But the fact that he just shows up, he's like, yep, got him. It was so cool. I had to shrug and go, yeah, okay, I'll take it. But I think that about does it for this episode. Again, the main focus was on Sherry and Dwight and trying to fit into this group. I am kind of glad that they didn't make this group the ones that are doing the whole the end is the beginning thing, because I don't know if that really makes sense for this group. So for it to just be a group of survivors that got away from Virginia or trying to band together to take her down, I think that makes a lot more sense. And I guess it shows that's where Sherry has been this whole time, has been surviving with Virginia's group until I guess she got kicked out or something. So yeah, that'll do it for this one. So on to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now episode 6, bury her next to Jasper's leg. I don't know what's more stupid, this episode or the episode title. First of all, who calls it that? Who made the decision? Oh yeah, at the beginning of this episode when she said bury her next to Jasper's leg, that sounds like a good episode title. It's so dumb. And the thing is, this episode brought back several things that just reminded me how bad this show can be. Because not only do we have more focus on Virginia to remind us about how unintimidating our main villain is right now. Again, Sandy Cheeks, essentially, trying to be a villain is what basically all I can picture for her. But you bring back Sarah, and that's definitely who I don't want to see more of. Even without Wendell to bounce off of, she's still insufferable. All the little sayings and catchphrases, again, she sounds like she should belong on a parody of The Walking Dead. It's just so unbelievable the way she talks. So how much of that Texas tea to have you making in there? Who says that shit? Nobody. No real person talks like Sarah does, and we have to suffer through it because now she's back. And at the end of the episode, June gets Wendell back so they can be together, and I don't want to see that. I don't care about their sibling relationship that they have because both of them are the most unbelievable characters I've seen in any Walking Dead show. But outside of that, there's also a lot of dumb story stuff in this one. We are starting to see this group that's doing the whole the end is the beginning. Apparently Virginia's threatened by them. She says they care more about killing than living, so I guess we're supposed to assume, like I said before, this is going to be another group that thinks the walkers are the way to go. That when you die, that's just the beginning, guys. Because yeah, we definitely haven't seen that before. And I know you have some repeat stuff. I mean, Virginia is kind of her own Negan in a way, where she's in charge of this big group and she takes more than she gives. But even so, the whole idea that, oh yeah, we need to just live like the walkers, or the walkers are really the way to go, and we just need to kill people because then they'll become walkers and that's a better way of living. That whole mindset, it's so stupid. And so the fact that we've now had 2 and we're up on 3, assuming that this is what they're going to go with, 3 different villains, that's their whole mentality, is let's just die. It makes no sense. And it's not entertaining, and so the fact that we're returning to it, I'm not excited at all for that. But even outside of that, we have more stupidity in this episode because the oil rig goes up, it's spewing oil everywhere, and so they're out there having to deal with a couple of walkers. One of them had razor blades on their fingers, so I don't know if that's something that this other group set up and sent her in. Seems like they sabotaged the oil rig and caused this huge explosion. But what's so stupid about it is Wes is injured. We see Virginia's desperation to find out because she assumes Wes had something to do with it just because he had spray paint cans. So she's interrogating him while he's dying, which just doesn't make any sense. If you want him to live, you get him out of there and then you question him. Keeping him in there, basically keeping him from getting help. Like, I know she's desperate for information, but if he dies, you don't get any information. So keeping him there, keeping him from help, it's stupid on her part. But because of that, they have barely enough time to get Wes into the truck to get him out. On top of that, there are a ton of other walkers, which John said that nobody had gotten in, no walkers had gotten in, so I don't know where all these walkers came from, but whatever. But it means June and Virginia are now stuck in here when the explosion goes off. But I do want to point out, before we even get to that point, we see June taking out a couple of them with her knife. In the middle of this giant oil rig spraying everywhere, Virginia's just shooting them. You can't make this shit up. This is either some stupid writer or, again, the fight choreographer who said, yeah, let's just have her shoot in the middle of an oil spray. That's smart. That's intelligent thinking. Definitely nothing bad would happen for them. Use your brains. Somebody use your brains. Nobody raised their hand and said, hey, I don't think she should be shooting if there's all this oil around. Pretty sure it might cause some issues here. I don't understand. I don't understand how you could be this dumb to not have that thought of, hey, let's not shoot with oil spraying everywhere. But the explosion happens. June and Virginia end up in this shed. Apparently there was a walker in there. Don't know how. Don't know where he came from. But he attacks Virginia when she wakes up and she gets bit on the hand. So first of all, I'm thinking, oh, well, good. And it's so funny because they have the dramatic music playing like, oh no, guys, she's in trouble. And I'm just sitting here thinking, yay, awesome. She's about to die. And then she gets bit. I'm thinking, okay, she's in there with June. She should be dead. There's no way she should get out of this. And then for the next 5 to 6 minutes, she tries to convince June to save her. 5 to 6 minutes. Think about that. Just use your brain. I looked it up even. I'm like, how long would it take for the infection to spread? The blood pumps through your body in a minute. She stood there freaking out about the bite for at least 30 seconds before she wrapped her arm to keep the blood flow from happening. But even then, you probably didn't wrap it tight enough to avoid any blood flow at all. You probably just lessened the blood flow. So maybe you would have an extra 2 minutes if anything. But to survive 6 minutes. And what's even funnier is she got bit like right here on the hand. June chops right here. You mean to tell me that the infection didn't spread down here at all to the base of her arm? Of course it did. But it doesn't matter. We're just going to chop off right near where the bite happened because nobody studied biology. Nobody studied biology in this writing team. They just said, yeah, we'll just have her chop off right near the bite. We could just put like a prosthetic thing over top of her hand to make it look like she lost it. We don't have to worry about replacing the whole arm, even though that's probably where it should have been cut off. But the fact that June even decides to help her is just so stupid. It's kind of funny because at the end of this episode, she's excited because they have the hospital now that Virginia's giving them. She let them have Wendell so they can be together. She's even, I'm pretty sure, going to have John there. But John at the end, rightly so, says you can't trust her. And then he drives off separately, which means they're not going to get to be together, which is set up for kind of like a, oh, John, why did you do that? She was willing to work with you guys now. When has she shown anything other than just being a backstabbing piece of shit? Like, that's been her whole character. And now all of a sudden, because June saved her life, suddenly she's going to change her ways and be like, oh no, I'm going to help you guys now. No, she's still power hungry. She still hasn't changed her mind about the whole only keep people around who can be useful. Like, there's no way that would change her mind just from one moment of she almost died, June saved her life, and now suddenly she's a better person, guys. We should trust her. We should work with her. Just because there are worse bad guys out there? I mean, hell, look at Negan. It took him how many years before anybody even thought about possibly letting him help? And even then, it was one person who actually asked him to help. Everybody else just sort of let him be around, but still didn't trust him. So the fact that June just suddenly changes her mind on Virginia and her whole way of life, it's so stupid. There's no way she's actually going to change. And if she changes this fast, then I will say it's more of a stupid writing decision to make a villain that is so villainous one season, and then in the next season, she just completely changes her mind from one moment. So yeah, a lot about this episode just was not good, and it brought back that feeling of, oh yeah, this is what the show can be. This is how bad this show can be with some of the decisions that they have. Again, just a simple idea of shooting in an oil field where the oil's spraying everywhere is so dumb. I mean, we even had last season where Logan and his group showed up with their guns, and I think it was Luciana was talking to him and said, you don't want to shoot, all this oil's back here. So I just don't get it. I don't understand how it can be this bad, especially because of how good it's been. I don't know if the writing team just completely changed for this one episode, but any semblance of interest that I've had so far feels like it's been absolutely demolished in this one episode. I mean, I'm still excited to see what's going on with Morgan, but as far as the show overall, I'm just back to that feeling of, God, this is shit. And who knows, maybe this will be the one episode that's bad in this entire season. I'm not getting my hopes up for that because, again, I've gotten my hopes up for this show before and I've seen where it's gotten me, but still, it's so shocking to me just how quickly the shit can return in this show based on a couple of characters returning when I haven't seen them all season, and I've forgotten how bad they were. They return and they remind me how bad they are, how awful the acting is. You get more focus on your villain who's just not compelling enough as a villain. And you just have these moments of complete stupidity from the writers, from the fight choreographers, people who clearly just don't put any thought to what they're writing. They just put it in there because they're like, well, we got to get from point A to point B somehow. Who cares how we get there? And if they don't care how they get there, why do I care about this show? But anyway, those are all of my thoughts. So with all that being said, cue the outro. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that review. I hope you enjoyed it. First and foremost, please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I love having discussions with people, so whatever your thoughts were, whether you agree or disagree with me, please leave them down below. Obviously, no spoilers. Also, if you did find yourself enjoying this review and you want to see more, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I also have a gaming channel as well as a channel where I talk about soccer, so if you want to give those a follow as well, that would be much appreciated. And lastly, if you want to help me improve upon the quality of these channels, I do have a Patreon. All of this is in the description below. With all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace out.